All right, so continuing on item number 5, we're going to deal with using multiplying and dividing within inequalities with negative numbers. So we're going to start with this section on multiplying with negative numbers. Okay? So when we multiply with negative numbers, we can say you can multiply both sides by a negative number but then you must reverse the inequality for the statement to be true. Okay, so let's look at that numerically to see if we can make that make a little more sense to us, because sometimes words are a bit confusing. Let's go with, if we have 8 is bigger than 4, and we multiply both sides by a negative 2, we're now going to have negative 16 and negative 8, but now the negative 8 is bigger than the negative 16. So we had to, I'm just going to make a little loop-de-loop, we had to flip the inequality over, okay, because we multiplied by a negative number. So algebraically, we would say if A is greater than B and C is less than 0, then A times C is now less than B times C. Again, we had to flip the inequality. We can't forget to flip the inequality when we multiply, and next you'll see divide by a negative number. Okay, so let's talk about dividing. Dividing by a negative number. Again, this is with inequalities. Okay, so you can divide both sides by a negative number, but then you must reverse the inequality, and we're going to say inequality symbol, for the statement to be true. Okay, numerically, we could say if 12 is greater than 4, and then we divide both sides by a negative 4, we're going to get negative 3 and negative 1. Now you can see that negative 1 is larger than a negative 3, and we had to flip the inequality. Okay, algebraically we can say the same thing. If A is greater than B and C is less than 0, so it's a negative number, then A divided by C is now less than B divided by C, and you'll see that we again flip the inequality over. Okay, and we're going to make this really clear with a little illustration in a second. So I'm going to remind you that all of the properties that we just talked about are true for all inequalities less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. Okay? So in the next video, actually let's go ahead and do our examples and then we'll do another little video. Okay? So continuing on item number 9, we're going to do this last bit of examples on negative numbers. So for examples on number 1, we would do negative 8 is greater than, is greater than 72. To isolate x, we're going to divide both sides by a negative 8. That's going to leave us with x on this side and 9 on this side. And because we negative 9. And because we divided by a negative number, we're going to flip the inequality, and that is going to be x is less than negative 9. Okay? When the second one, we're going to say 3 is less than or equal to x divided by negative 5. We want to get the x by itself, so we're going to multiply both sides by a negative 5. Remember, as a negative number, it's important to remember. So we have negative 15 on this side, we have x on this side. Because we multiplied by a negative number, we need to flip the inequality. So we're going to move it to the other side. Negative 15 is greater than or equal to x. Now if I want to graph that to make it easier, I'm going to move that over to the left side. We're going to put this x over here and the negative 15 over here, and I'm going to flip the inequality again so that this looks like that. Okay? Alright, so that when we graph it, we're always going to have the thing on the left. The next step is you're going to need to go ahead and get a copy of this little diagram, worksheet, whatever. You're going to put some glue on the back and you're going to glue it in right below here, because this is the flip-flop rule. Remember, there are 2 reasons that we would flip an inequality. To solve inequalities, you must follow the same steps as solving equations, but you must flip the inequality signs whenever. And whenever you reverse the inequality, so you reverse the inequality, so the variable is on the left. Like we did in the example of number 2 here, that second time we flipped, it's because we moved the x to the left side of the equation. So for example, if we have 6 is less than or equal to x, we're going to flip it so that we can make it easier to graph. We'll have x greater than or equal to 6 the other way around. Now that's one reason, because you're moving the x from the right side of the equation to the left side of the equation. You're just flipping it. Okay. Also, their second reason that you would reverse the inequality is because you multiply or divide by a negative number. So anytime you are multiplying or dividing by a negative number in inequalities, you're going to flip the inequality like the examples that we did earlier, as in 1 and 2. So for example, if we have negative 2x is greater than 6, if we need to divide both sides by a negative 2, we divide it by a negative number. So this would leave us x on the left and negative 3 on the right. We're going to flip the inequality symbol so that now x is less than negative 3. Okay? If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. The homework for today is going to be 3.3, and please do all of them. That's only 11 problems. It'll be due tomorrow. Thank you.